cargo transportation generally, the assumed transportation of Mira cargo, and efforts being made by the ministry to explore alternative airlines or routes for Mira exports. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Who is the chairperson for the Departmental Committee on Transport and Infrastructure? Yes.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. We were very, a response second week after recess. But I also think that question has a lot to do with the Agriculture Committee, although we'll rise and see what response we should give and what response should come from the Committee on Agriculture.
But I thought the question, I thought the statement is about the ban by Ethiopian Airways, cargo containing Miraa. Is that the issue? So it's not about the planting.
That's the issue, but I think the cargo is a major issue, not the...
Yes, so cargo is transport. And
no, I mean the goods in the aircraft. The goods being transported.
Yes, the goods being transported is an agricultural product.
Yes.
But the issue's got to do with the transportation. It's like when a person is banned
That's why
from getting onto an airline.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, so I think that's purely transport, because the right to land in Kenya, take cargo and so on, solely falls under Kenya Airports Authority, which is...
I totally agree with you, Honorable Speaker.
Okay.
And that's why I said we will see what input the Agriculture Committee will give to that response, to enrich our response.
No, I think that's purely on your shoulders, I think.
Thank you. Yes.
Yes, Chairperson Agriculture, I can see you want to say something.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I am actually surprised that my co-chair, the chairman of transport, is trying to push them back to Agriculture Committee when we are talking about transportation of goods that are already finished and packaged for market. If we talk about trade, you will be a little bit relevant. We've not heard about NTBs. If there are any non-tariff barriers involved, probably we can talk about Agriculture Committee in terms of whether there are escalations in undesired either pests or pesticides or any other chemicals that may be in terms of the exceeding, if they are exceeding levels. Thank you.
All right, we'll wait until 2 weeks after recess from the Transport Committee. Yes, Honorable Wanyonyi.
Madam Speaker, I'm also equally perplexed because we're trying to have the East African countries together, working as a bloc. And this kind of thing, I think the Transport Department here should be able to take it urgently. If there's an issue to do with whatever sector there is, but they should actually bring it before this, because we are talking about East and we depend on each other in terms of um, creating jobs and even businesses. So I think the transport department people take this urgently and see where it comes in. It should not suggest that actually it's agriculture. It's actually do with the business within the East African community.
Okay, thank you,
Thank you.
Honorable Wanyoji, for the emphasis. Now we can move to the responses to statements that have been requested. And I think we'll start with the Honorable Member for Runyenjes, Honorable Eric Karemba. You were supposed to respond to. Oh, yes, sorry, the question was yours, but it's the Chair Agriculture who's supposed to respond, yes. Chairperson, Agriculture and Livestock Committee, Honorable Mutunga, you have a response?
Honorable Speaker, I do not have a response with me right now, but I can get it in the course of the morning.
When will your response be ready?
In about 1 hour, I'm expecting it to be brought to my attention.
Okay. All right, we'll see if we can slot you in later in the order paper. Okay, let's proceed. The next one is the response by the Departmental Committee of Energy to the question by the Honorable Joseph Gitari, member for Kirinyaga Central. Honorable Karemba, what's your point of order? Hold on a minute. Let's hear Honorable.
Well, Honorable Speaker, it is not a point of order, but I am surprised that Chair Departmental Committee on Agriculture is not ready with this statement, yet I am imagining that it was properly briefed that I am here in this parliament today purposely to get a response on the statement that I had raised. Honorable Chair, that makes me wonder whether indeed the Chair is keen to have the matter addressed, because it is not actually an issue to do with me as a person, but the issue to do with my people.
No, I think he's just said it's a bit delayed, and he has said it will come in an hour. So let's give him that 1 hour. Thank you. All right, proceed. Chairperson, Energy Committee.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. This is a request for response to a statement regarding the status of electricity project in Kirinyaga County before the Departmental Committee on Energy. Honorable Speaker, reference is made to the letter reference that is given there. which is dated 1st April 2025 by Member of Parliament Kirinyaga Central, Honorable Joseph Gashoki, who requested our committee to look into the statement regarding the status of electricity project in Kirinyaga County. Honorable Speaker, following that letter, Honorable Speaker, the following are the submissions as requested. Question number 1 sought to get the status of various schemes in Kirinyaga County. The project listed in the request for statement are part of the current last mile project under European Investment Bank, French Development Agency, and the European Union funding secured by Government of Kenya for electrification of various parts of the country. Honorable Speaker, the first table gives 12 projects which were listed, starting with Kariko, which is a REREC, and it is an award called INOI, and the funding, the last column indicates who are the funders, and that is the European Investment Bank. And they go all the way down to the last one is Career Village and Career Factory in a ward called Kerugoya and funded by European Investment Bank. Further, to ensure universal access to electricity is achieved, the ministry through REREC has been implementing public facilities and transform maximization project in all the 4 constituencies in Kirinyaga County. Specifically, in the last 2 financial years, that is 2023-24, 24-25, REREC has invested 197.17 million in the county for implementation of various programs and projects. This is an equivalent of 24 number of projects benefiting 2,329 households as per Table 1. In Gishugu, we have targeted customer 55, Kirinyaga Central 570, Mwea 1,113, Ndia 591, a total of 2,329 customers. The constituency project status analysis, the State Department through REREC has identified specific projects in various stages of implementation in each of the 4 constituencies in Kirinyaga County as enumerated below. Honorable Speaker, again, Table 2 has 9 projects that has different names of projects, starting with Miria Career Village, with a total cost of 2 million.
Just 1 minute, Honorable Gikaria. Is the Honorable Member for Kirinyaga Central here? The person is the one who requested the statement. So if he's not in the house, that the case will be that you just table the statement.
Much obliged, Honorable Speaker. Thank you very much.
Let's move to the next order.
Order number 8, procedural motion, exemption of business from provision of standing order 43.
Honorable Bayer for the Leader of Majority.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move the procedural motion on exemption of business from the provision of Standing Order 43. Honorable Speaker, that this House resolves to exempt the business appearing as order number 9 in today's order paper from the provisions of Standing Order 43, being a Wednesday morning, a day allocated for business not sponsored by the majority or minority party or business sponsored by a committee. Honorable Speaker, in moving, I want to say this. that today is Wednesday, and Wednesdays are meant for private members' bills and or committee bills. But because we have a matter that is very important for this country, the Social Protection Bill, Honorable Speaker, it is important that we allow debate on this bill that is coming on the second reading so that we are able to pass this as soon as possible. Honorable Speaker, passing this bill unlocks billions and a lot of money that will be used, Honorable Speaker, for social protection. If you look at social protection, we have money that is usually given to Kenyans that require support of government in their livelihoods and in their lives. And this is such an important bill, Honorable Speaker. As I prepare the Honorable Silvana Sosoro, the Chief Whip, to second this motion, Honorable Speaker, I would like to say that this is a piece of legislation that we must have as a country. The social protection bill. This bill, Honorable Speaker, if you look at the money that we give, 3.4 billion, Honorable Speaker, that goes into supporting the WAZE, the fund that is usually released, the Social Protection Fund, and many other funds and other monies that are given in kind. If we do not pass this bill as a country, we suffer the consequence of not being able to support the vulnerable people in our country. And therefore, it is important that this Wednesday today, we debate this bill and pass it at second reading so that, Honorable Speaker, we unlock the billions of funds that may come from our friends, our donors, and partners who want to support the vulnerable. I can see the Honorable Member for Nakuru looking at me. Yes, there are very many vulnerable people in Nakuru. And if we pass this bill, Honorable Speaker, the people of Nakuru will be helped and they will have a lot of money, Honorable Speaker. And Kwanza, actually the people of Kwanza require, the people of Baringo North, and we have to pass this bill, Honorable Speaker. I think it is consensus. Just a few people, we discuss this bill, we pass it, and billions are unlocked to help even the people of Honorable Gesairo. Honorable Speaker, I move and request the Honorable Silvana Sosoro to support the procedural motion. Thank you. To second the procedural motion.
Proceed.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, you know the Honorable Deputy Majority Leader was a drama teacher in school, so he speaks with a lot of expressions when making a point, and that is very good. But be that as it may, Honorable Speaker, what we are seeking in this procedural motion, Honorable Speaker, is to exempt the business, Honorable Speaker, of today, this very morning, because ideally, it's within the knowledge of members that Wednesday mornings are preserved for the private members' bill, and it can only be through the movement of this house, the agreement by this house, that we exempt that business so that you can dispense of the government business, Honorable Speaker. That is very crucial. Honorable Speaker, one of the very serious business that you really need to dispense of, Honorable Speaker, that is in the order paper, is the social protection bill. I see several members really confusing the bill that is in order 11 and the bill that was also in the order paper yesterday, Honorable Speaker. And I want to assure the honorable members that the bill that is in order 11 is a private members bill. Very, very different from what members, think to be the what should be on the order paper, Honorable Speaker. So we seek to exempt the business, Honorable Speaker, of today, so that you can push forward the business of the social protection. But Honorable Speaker, I was surprised when Honorable Owen said that the reason why we are pushing for the social protection bill is to support people like the honorable member for Kwanza. And I don't know what it meant. I don't know whether the honorable member for Kwanza is 75 and requires the 2,000 shillings and in a month. But if indeed it requires, when eventually it goes up, it will be very good. So, and he should have mentioned the other members, the Honorable Yusuf, the Honorable member for Kwanza, and several others, Honorable Speaker, who was 75, Honorable Speaker, and above. And with that, Honorable Speaker, I beg to second. And Honorable Moroto, too.
Honorable members, I now propose the question that this House resolves to exempt the business appearing on order number 9 in today's order paper from the provisions of Standing Order 43, being a Wednesday morning, a day allocated for the business not sponsored by the majority or minority party or business sponsored by a committee. I can give one or two people to say something. Honorable Millie, would you like to speak? Okay, honorable members, I now put the question that this House resolves to exempt the business appearing on order number 9 in today's order paper from the provisions of Standing Order 43, being a Wednesday morning, a day allocated for business, not sponsored by the majority or minority party, or business sponsored by a committee. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Will as many as of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Next order.
Order number 9, the Social Protection Bill, National Assembly Bill number 12 of 2025, second reading, resumption of debate.
Yeah, so honorable members, I think this particular bill had been moved, it had been seconded, so now we're just proceeding and proposed. So now we are proceeding with debate. So Honorable Millie Odhiambo, you had said you wanted to contribute to this bill.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I wish to thank you for giving me this opportunity. And Madam Speaker, I at the onset want to say that I support this bill. Madam Speaker, when I first came into Parliament, I was originally moving actually a similar bill, but I spoke with the late Honorable Joyce Laboso, who also had a similar idea, and agreed to cede my bill to it. Madam Speaker, the reason why I think this bill is very good and very timely, Madam Speaker, is because, Madam Speaker, all my life, this is what I witnessed. My mother was a social worker, working with the County Council of Homa Bay those days. And Madam Speaker, this is all that she did all her life, cushioning vulnerable persons. And one of the things that was very clear then was that our house, we were used to people coming in when they were not even able to get government support. And my mom helped a lot of people. Young bright people get access to Starehe Boys Center. Then we didn't have a Starehe Girls Center. A lot of people get medical assistance and others. Of course, at this point in time, we also have different systems of assistance through, the government. But I'm happy that this social protection bill will actually then ensure that we take care of the vulnerable in a more consolidated and cohesive manner. I know that when Honorable Joyce brought her bill, it has not actually been actualized. And so this coming from the government will get the actual support that is needed. I know Honorable Masara has brought in a similar bill, and I wish the government side had actually spoken to Honorable Masara before, because sometimes it's discouraging for a member of parliament to put in so much effort, and then midway you are told, no, now the government has brought one. Of course, it's much better when it's supported by the government, and especially when it's a member who is having a second or so term. Me, I've been here a long time. I've ceded a few of my bills to the government. Even more recently, Obedwanle told me that they are taking over one of my bills, which I'm okay with. But so long as you make sure you don't lose the core concerns and interests that the member had in that bill. So I think it is in good order and out of courtesy that you should also talk to a member when the government wants to take over a bill that the member is doing, and just to agree so that you consolidate. Madam Speaker, one of the things that I'd want to say that I like about this bill is on the principles of the bill, Madam Speaker. And Madam Speaker, if you look at clause 5, clause 5 says the implementation of this act shall be guided by the following principles. equity, social justice, inclusiveness, non-discrimination, and participatory governance. Madam Speaker, when you talk about equity, it means that we'll be paying focus to especially marginalized and vulnerable groups, including women, including poor children, and areas that even have economically for many years been marginalized are not included in the system. And Madam Speaker, when you talk about non-discrimination, again, it's the same concept that brings in all those areas that have been left out. Madam Speaker, I'm also happy that the other principle that is raised in the bill is promotion of a rights-based approach to the delivery of social protection interventions. And Madam Speaker, when you are talking about a rights-based approach, Madam Speaker, it is an approach that ensures that there's participation by the public and that and there's a component of accountability, and where people are not happy, that there's a process of an appeal system where you can actually raise concerns where the process is not done well. Madam Speaker, it also talks about adequacy, accessibility, and sustainability of social protection interventions. And Madam Speaker, when you are talking about accessibility, one of the things I'm hoping that this bill will do will to take into account the geographical variations in this country. For instance, if you are talking about Madam Speaker, even as I'm speaking, I've gotten distracted by Honorable Clive, Madam Speaker. And I just want, Madam Speaker, I don't know if I have your attention. Madam Speaker? Yes, Madam Speaker, Honorable Clive, who has since been started calling himself Honorable Matiang'i. Is he properly dressed? He's wearing sneakers in the house. I know he's really supporting Honorable Matiang'i, but he's wearing sneakers in the house. Is that proper dressing for a member, Madam Speaker? Maybe you can direct maybe after I've finished my contribution.
I think the Sergeant at Arms can check that and advise me, because I can't see.
Yeah, I know he has. He's come with me from Tashkent and he got very good outfit from Tashkent. But is this the time to showcase what he got from Tashkent, Madam Speaker? Madam Speaker, the adequacy, accessibility, and sustainability of social protection intervention is also important. And so that, Madam Speaker, we are not just talking about tokenism. So, and then we feel that we have actually supported our vulnerable. Madam Speaker, I want to give an example of what I saw one time in my constituency. Madam Speaker, why this bill is important. One time when I was going around and I went to this community, and this lady.
What's your point of order, Honorable Osoro?
Sorry, Honorable Speaker, it's not my wish to interrupt my learned senior, Honorable Millie, and it's really unrelated to what she was and to her submission. But I see the Honorable Speaker is not properly dressed to be in chambers. Honorable Speaker, he is actually in sneakers or sports shoes or something.
Honorable Osoro, I already ruled on that. I've asked that the Sergeant at Arms looks at it, checks if he's properly dressed,
but
and advises
he's
me,
still seated,
because he's not within my eye view. So the Sergeant at Arms is going to advise me shortly. Let's proceed, Honorable Millie.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I'd already actually raised the issue, because I know Honorable Clive wants to show that he's come back from Tashkent, Uzbekistan. I was with him, so I know he has really got some really nice outfits. And he said that he would be using them maybe to, to welcome Matiang'i, but the welcome is done. So just now, dress properly for Parliament. But Madam Speaker, I was just saying, I was giving an example that when I went to my constituency, Madam Speaker, and one of the women who came to me, the public actually asked me to assist this woman. And when she came to me, she literally pulled her dress up, her blouse up before the public. And she had a terrible breast, which was oozing with pus. And it's one of the things that I've just seen on textbooks, Madam Speaker. And Madam Speaker, unfortunately, what Kenyans know now is that social protection has become almost a sole mandate of elected leaders. When I go to the constituency as a member of parliament, when other members of parliament got down to seek support, to seek to do their representation role, we are added other roles, which include social protection. And Madam Speaker, that is why sometimes I get amazed when you hear people who are elitists, who are divorced from realities of the ground, saying how CDF should be removed, Madam Speaker. Even though CDF focuses not on social protection, but infrastructure, it has actually ameliorated some of the challenges and pressures that were put on members of parliament. And one of those issues that are placed on members of parliament right now is the issue of social protection. Madam Speaker, I recently started my PhD studies, and I seek to undertake my thesis on challenging some age-old held theories, including separation of powers. Madam Speaker, a very good concept that talks about the role of an MP being legislative, representative, and representation, but forgets the reality on the ground, that when I go to the ground, the public knows that that is, by the way, it's not my main role. The public knows my role is social protection. The public knows my role is development. And where it works, why do we have to fight what works? If we see a system that is working, must we remain true to something that was developed in 18-something by somebody who didn't know my village, Kolokanyala in Rusinga Island, who doesn't know those realities? And Madam Speaker, we now also have scholars, we have intellectuals who can also come with beautiful theories. And I'm one of such intellectuals who will come with theories that will either improve Montesquieu's theory or will overthrow Montesquieu's theory. It will take 20 years or so, but I'm saying that out of Africa, something beautiful is happening. And that something beautiful is a different model of development that ensures infrastructure is coming up, that accelerates infrastructure. Because our core area of accountability is through election. You don't do work for members of the public, they throw you out. Who wants to be thrown out? So, Madam Speaker, we have to reconceptualize how we think. And one of the things that this would help before it completely overwhelms MPs is the issue of social protection. Madam Speaker, we provide for people with medical needs. We provide for bereavement. We provide for, mental health. We support even people who are having diaries and all that. Young men who want to marry and cannot be able to marry because they don't have means. It's the role of MPs. Madam Speaker, if I was asked to write a CV of what an MP is, it's very different from what I see the elite people write. Legislation, representation, and oversight. We are pastors, we are intercessors, we are preachers, we are social protection systems, we are ATMs, we do, pardon? Councillors. Madam Speaker, the list is endless, but we need to reduce it to a manageable level and look at the ones that work. And one of them that works excellently, and people are coming from all over Africa to benchmark, is CDF. And that is why, in order to shield us, let us make sure that the government at least takes the social protection to protect our vulnerable women, to protect our vulnerable children, to protect persons with disability, and other marginalized and minority communities in the society. With those few remarks, Madam Speaker, I support.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Suba West, Honorable Masara. Suna West, yes, Honorable Masara. I know you had a similar bill. Yes, proceed.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I think our gods are with us because in this parliament, we are going to pass a bill which is going to help so many people. I want this House to also remember the late Honorable Laboso, Joyce, because her, with the assistance of Honorable Meli, who also assisted me to draft the bill, and I'm copying her. She's doing her PhD on the same line. I'm also a student of PhD on the same line. And we are talking about this particular bill. The Social Protection Bill, Madam Speaker, is a very important bill. And I want to support this bill, but I want to put Parliament into put some information that the bill I've worked for the last 7 years is why this bill is in this House, because it was supposed to go to the third reading. Madam Speaker, the beneficiary of social protection bill are people who are really in need of our support, more so as leaders. In Kenya today, if I can give a brief for those who have not gone through this bill, people, the vulnerable society are benefiting. But by the time this bill, the program was started, they were being given 2,000. By that time, $1 was 100 shillings. It was equal to $1. So according to the United Nations ranking, anybody earning or living with below $2 per day is supposed to be supported. Currently, $1 is, for sometimes back, dollar was 160 something shillings, but these people are still being given 2,000. I'm supporting this bill, but in one condition, that we need to merge the two bills, because we don't want social protection, the bill, to give people tokens. And these tokens need to be managed. They need to be a rationale on how these monies are given to the vulnerable people in the society. In the Section 2 of the Children Act, the objective of this act are to caution all persons against risk and contingency throughout their life cycle. That is okay. Build human capital, capability, and resilience of all persons, and promote the well-being of persons. If we stop there, it does not talk about how it will resonate well with economic times. When there is fluctuation, when there is recession in the economy of a country, this bill, the current bill, is not talking about that. In my bill, it is talking about that all factors shall be considered each and every time with regards to what is happening in the economy. So, Madam Speaker, this bill needs to be pushed and to be concluded together with mine. Mine is in the third stage. How I wish Parliament can take mine, the majority leader to push it. Whatever is not in mine can be added in mine. Then we merge it, we come up with a bill which is progressive. Because as it is now, it is static. If it is 2,000, it is 2,000. If it is 1,000, it is 1,000. So, Madam Speaker, I want to support the passing and legislative on this particular item, but with some rider that all factors need to be considered. Part of it is not applicable, because when you talk about all persons qualifying for this particular item, Madam Speaker, in my bill, I'm suggesting that somebody can be in this bracket over a period of time. When he's out of that time, is removed from that particular support. But this one is talking of all persons. So as I support this bill, I'll talk with most of our members and the leadership of Parliament so that we can bring them together. We come up with a legislation which is progressive, which will go for a longer period of time, but as well helping the needy people. Madam Speaker, the CDF now, we have a provision of supporting these vulnerable people through paying for them health, NHIF, the previous scheme. Now it is SHA. When this bill is implemented, the county government also will be given opportunity to...
What's your point of order, Honorable Otiende?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I seek your direction on Standing Order number 1 on a very simple matter. I'm listening to Honorable Masara support the bill, but he's also asking you to direct that his own bill be brought forth so that the bills can be considered together. It sounds to me, Madam Speaker, as if then Honorable Masara is not actually supporting this bill, because procedurally, as I understand it, usually in such circumstances, then both bills would usually be referred to the relevant committee to rationalize and consolidate and then present. So, Madam Speaker, is it in order for Honorable Masara to be asking you to refer his own bill to the House while also supporting a separate bill? Madam Speaker, I seek your directions.
I think I was letting him ventilate, but I think eventually what it comes to is that at the time when we have the committee of the whole, he'll probably be able to move some amendments or suggest amendments to it. That's how it came to me. That there are some aspects, the bills are similar, but there are some aspects that are not incorporated in this current bill that are in your bill.
Yes.
So I was going to get there, but I think we can proceed.
Thank you, my senior and speaker. Both of you are learned friends. I'm learning a lot from you. And I don't want to add or remove anything from what you have said. I'll just proceed. And thank you so much for the support you have given me. You know, I got a boost because of this bill. Getting a bill to reach third reading in this house is a real problem. Madam Speaker, I started that my bill in my first term, first month in Parliament. We ended up finishing the 12th Parliament without concluding it. In this 13th Parliament, it is almost 3 years I've been talking about this bill each and every day, each and every week. So members, to summarize, because I know many want to contribute to this particular bill, is that this bill is very important. And it is important, but mine is more important because it's a progressive one. Therefore, if we want to solve a gap which was there in the previous bill, because the previous bill which was sponsored in this house by the late Honorable Joyce Laboso was very good, but it was never implemented. The ministry took over the bill and they promised the parliament that they are going to enhance it, but they never did it almost 10 years after the death of Joyce Laboso. That's why my bill delayed. Now what I'm asking is that we must legislate on bills which will serve the current generation and generation to come, and it is for prosperity. In that regard, as you have ably advised me, in the third reading, we'll have to merge these two bills and come up with a bill which will support our people. Madam Speaker, on the issue of NGCDF, NGCDF is the lifeline of Kenyans. If you want a devolved function, money which the people of Kenya are enjoying is NGCDF. In Sona West constituency alone, I've done 4 police stations. I've done 4 ACC's offices. I've done the ACC office. I've done anti-stock theft. I've built 27 new schools, 23 primary and 4 new girls secondary school using CDF. 1,200 people who are enjoying the insurance cover, NHIF, using NCDF money. 500 students are fully sponsored in Suna West using NGCDF money. Madam Speaker, we can kill any other fund, but we need to increase allocation for NGCDF, and it should be timely. The first allocation which the Treasury need to do is NCDF, even before paying salary. NCDF should be released because it reaches to all the 290 constituencies in Kenya are enjoying the fruits of NGCDF. Madam Speaker, having said that, as a country, we need to put our priority right. And as a researcher, I know when you have operated with an item for over 10 years, we need to relook into our constitution so that where the drafters erred or where our gap can be corrected so that Kenyan people can enjoy. I'm an aspirant I'm going to be a governor of Migori in 2027. But the truth of the matter is, as it stands, the people cannot enjoy the fruits of devolution. Many people died, including Dr. Diambombai. But now their families and generation are not enjoying the fruits of devolution because of the gaps in the constitution. Madam Speaker, you remember I'm the last mayor of Migori. I operated with the Local Government Act, Cap 260.
Okay, you can have, let's give him a minute.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. You know, there are very few mayors in this town, His Lordship.
the mayor. I'm very feel like now I'm the only one here. If you can look, the money, the project we started with the Latif, which was only 57 million per municipality. They are the project now, the county, especially on the health sectors. All the health centers started by Municipal Council of Migori are the ones still existing today. Therefore, Madam Speaker, as we move on, as we legislate, let us not also introspect ourselves on what must be done so that the Kenyan population can enjoy the fruits of paying their taxes. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, member for Endebess. And members who want to contribute to this, please press the intervention button.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I stand to support the Social Protection Bill, National Assembly Bill number 12 of 2025. Honorable Speaker, this is a very crucial bill. And as you are aware, social protection deals with the most vulnerable members of the society, where it has several pillars. Among them is where they are able to give money to the elderly. I know Majority Whip was referring to my neighbor, Honorable Ferdinand Wanyonye, being elderly, but he's not elderly. Honorable Ferdinand is a young man. And when I was growing up, I saw him fighting with Norway, Kesa Makalanganga, very hard, and he's still very energetic and going very strong. So he's not elderly. And I'm being told by the women rep for Kericho that he married a second wife the other day. So he's still young. Thank you, Madam Speaker. So we've been seeing that in this bill, Honorable Speaker, the social, the SAF fund, the social accounts fund, through the amendment to the Public Finance Management Act, will be able to be created. And this will also have a board, because currently as it is constituted under the Ministry of Social Protection, we only get communication as members of parliament that money is being credited into the accounts of those who are elderly. But you find that among those who are elderly, there's somebody who is 70 who is getting the money, and there's somebody who is 75 and is not getting the money. And these people have no way of appeal. This bill creates an appeals mechanism for people to be able to appeal to the board. It also creates a board that will be able to be dispersing those funds, and the board can also be able to have extensions and have a mechanism, because the bill is also concerning counties, and it talks of the coordination between the national government and the county government, so that this brings a whole mechanism. Madam Speaker, you know that we have a contentious county allocation of revenue bill in this house. And the main reason is that we got devolution as a country. But unfortunately, we devolve corruption to the counties. Most of the money that is going to the counties is not ending up in the ward level. It is yesterday I saw the control of budget, Mr. Kango, making a very serious allegation that county governments, once they've made a requisition for bending bills, the bending bills, once they are released, are not ending up to pay the A and B who had been requested for that payment. But the county governments are going and reallocating again that money, because the control of budget is not able to look at whether that they have been able to, whether they are able to do what they had requisition for. And I think this is a very clearing corruption case. And I don't know why the EACC whom they are waiting for, because these are very clearing corruption, and I think action needs to be taken. Honorable Speaker, even the fight about the road maintenance levy is not about doing roads for the people. We've seen what Kura has done. We've seen what Kera has done. In the constituency, once Kera has done the road, you will find that counties want to come and even put a board into that road saying it has been done by the county government. And the money that was supposed to do that road disappears. So the fight is not about doing the roads. It's not about assisting the Wananchi. It's not about the following of the funds. It is about money being siphoned out of the proposed or alleged programs that they are supposed to do. Honorable Speaker, I think as a House, we need to pass this bill so that we can have a clear mechanism on how those who are most vulnerable within the society, the elderly, the orphans, those who are within poverty-stricken areas. And it's very sad, Madam Speaker, that yesterday in Nairobi alone, we lost about 6 people in the slums of Mathare and other places as a result of rains. These are risks. This is what exposes our people to unnecessary deaths, where you have a stone falling into a house where there's a mother and the children, and all of them loses their lives. This is very sad, Madam Speaker, that it should not be happening in this day and era. And therefore, I think it's important that as we come into and forming this social protection, House approving the social protection bill, and us having a board that will be able to look at this issue, the most vulnerable members within the society, that issues about people being killed by a lot of rains and causing floods should not be happening. Madam Speaker, I heard the former mayor for Migori talking about that his bill needs to be matched with this bill at the third reading. That is not a possibility. It doesn't happen. That is not how bills or how laws are made. His bill will, since we have this bill, I think the most sensible thing would be for him to make his amendments and put into, because this is a government bill, put his amendments into this government bill, bring his amendments, then we can reject his bill, and so that we can have only one bill that will address this. We should not be having a duplication. Then later on, we are not able to do it in a proper way. So since this is a bill that is sponsored by the majority, we should be able to, even our own standing orders gives it that the majority or a bill sponsored by government has priority of a bill that is sponsored by the member. And therefore, this is a bill that is now going through the second reading. We'll be able to pass it. Then once we pass as a House, and because it's a priority, we can go to the committee of the whole House, pass this bill, it goes to the Senate, and the Senate can also fast track it so that it becomes a law. With those few remarks, Honorable Speaker, I want to support this bill and hope that we can be able to fast track it and make it necessary for Kenyans to be able to enjoy social protection. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Member for Kericho County, Honorable Beatrice Kemei.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. And on the onset, I want to support the Social Protection Bill of 2025. Honorable Speaker, this is a very, very important bill to me and even to us as members of Parliament. Social Protection Bill. This bill takes care of the vulnerable in the society. And this is where we have the government having these policies and programs which are designed to safeguard individuals against poverty, vulnerability, and even social exclusion throughout their lives. This is a bill, Honorable Speaker, that aims to prevent or mitigate risks and emergencies, and especially for the vulnerable groups, and it will promote social inclusion. Honorable Speaker, as the County MP Kericho, I want to put it clear that women reps or county MPs have so much responsibilities, and especially when it comes to the people we represent. Those are the people living with disability, women, elderly, the children, and even the youth who are also in the bracket of being vulnerable. And Honorable Speaker, with this knowledge, the allocation of NGAF is not enough to cater for the needs of these many vulnerable groups. I'm glad when we have this bill because it will help us so much. And especially when it comes to the basic needs. Honorable Speaker, I have been able to meet at least many of these vulnerable groups, and especially women, the widows, and even those having children living with disability. With the allocation of NGAF, I've been able to help quite a number. Over 20 have habitable houses. And Honorable Speaker, what we have is so much. The demand for good houses is so much. Not to forget clothing, and even especially during this season when it is raining. Those who don't have blankets are so many, Honorable Speaker. Those who don't have good shelter are so many. So with this social protection bill, I am sure the government, the national government, and to a large extent, the county government will be able to help these vulnerable groups, of which here we have those living with disability, we have the elderly, we have the orphans. Honorable Speaker, I'm looking at the groups which are that the board will be able to provide the social protection and to these particular groups, orphans or vulnerable children, the poor older members of the society, persons with disabilities, persons in extreme poverty, persons who are affected by shocks. So, Honorable Speaker, we have these categories. And even in Kericho County, we have so many of these. Not forgetting the parents who have these vulnerable children. They cannot work, they cannot even provide for these vulnerable children, the PWDs and even others. So this is a very, very important bill for us. And I support saying that this bill will also lift a burden on the members of the society, on the members of the church. This will also lift a burden on the leaders, just like what my other colleagues have said, that our members of parliament are expected to provide for every need, be it a personal need, maybe people traveling, people have no food, people have no clothing, not to forget the school fees for the vulnerable children. Some of them have dropped out of school because of lack of fees. So when we come in, when we have the NGCDF and GAF, at least we'll be able to have them in school. But however, there are other needs that NGCDF and GAF may not provide. And this is where this social protection bill comes in. So when we have this assistance in form of cash transfer in kind, we also have social care services, that is according to the bill, where we also have rehabilitation services to these very needy persons. Honorable Speaker, in our societies, we also have not only the youth, those people who have gone through issues of drugs, issues of alcohol, they need services, at least they need rehabilitation, and this is where this bill comes in. and even psychological support is what they also require, Honorable Speaker. So in this, I say that this bill is very, very important, Honorable Speaker. And some of our children go to school without food. This is now where a feeding program comes in schools and even in those centers or in rehabilitation centers. Some of our children will only have one meal in a day, and the meal is the meal that is in school. So with this bill, I am sure feeding program will also be upheld, it will be promoted. And Honorable Speaker, some of these elderly people need home-based care. And say for us, as a Kenyan, an African, and for that matter from my community, we are not these people who take our elderly persons to the homes, to the elderly homes. We take care of them at home. But taking care of them by those people who don't also have will be a challenge. So even with this cash transfer of 2,000, it is not enough for these elderly people. But when we have this bill, I am sure other factors considered, they will have more of this money and they'll have more of the resources that they require and even transfer in kind. And we'll be able to take care of them, or they'll be taken care of them in their homes. Honorable Speaker, apart from that, when you talk of support, the elderly people may not only need cash, may not only need kind transfers and all that, they also need psychological support. That is when we'll have people around them. We still need them at least to be able to use the wisdom they have. This is now where this bill also comes in very, very important. Honorable Speaker, looking at the work of the county, and we have in this bill that in the administration and provision of social protection, the county government will have to implement national government policies on social protection through county-specific legislation and strategies. And they'll also be able to allocate resources for social protection intervention at the county levels. Not to forget that the registry, they'll have to develop a registry for social protection. This is now one will be able to know how many in every county, how many of these categories do we have, and how many will be assisted or will actually benefit from this. And without this bill, Honorable Speaker, the county government may not be able to allocate the resources that is required. But as we have this bill, the county government in collaboration with the national government will be able to reach even with those ones in the deepest parts of our counties, Honorable Speaker. And especially this time, Honorable Speaker, some of our elderly people and even the vulnerable may not be able to have food. Even with the subsidized fertilizers, some of them may not be able to plant. But with the cash transfer and with this one in kind, at least the county government will be able to identify them, provide the necessary resources for them. Some of them have very small piece of land, but food security being very, very important, Honorable Speaker, the county governments can provide as it is required. So to me, Honorable Speaker, I support this particular bill, and I know it will lift a burden as we try as much as we can to help the most vulnerable members of the society. And once more, Honorable Speaker, I support the bill. Thank you very much.
Well said. The member for Marsabit.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to add my voice to this very important bill that concerns the life of the vulnerable in our society. Honorable Speaker, when we speak about vulnerable people in our country, we have the senior citizens. The senior citizens maybe who have been working in the past, but today they live in a very poor situation in different parts of this country. They don't have anything that protects them against any danger. They don't have medical care. They don't have a social protection. And even they don't have any of their relatives to support them. We also have people living with disability. In most of the parts in this country, people living with disability have been disadvantaged in many ways. And most of the time, African society look at them and they feel that any person living with disability is like a curse to that family or the relatives, and they hide them, they keep them, they are not exposed, they are not given opportunity to go for education, they are not given the opportunity for any protection against any danger, they are not even given medical care, and they end up suffering. Honorable Speaker, in addition to that, we have orphans. Children who have been orphaned and they have no parent to take care of them. And most of the time, even their relatives take advantage and they end up mistreating them. And this bill will come in and give them hope. And that is why, as I stand, I support this bill, because we'll be able to take care of the minority, the vulnerable, the people living with disability, the elderly, the orphans. And again, I want to talk about drug addiction. Drug addiction in our country is getting out of hand. Our young people, out of frustration, many of them have gone into drug addiction, and many of them are in need of going to rehabilitation centers. Honorable Speaker, as a country, we need to plan for them. We need to take care of them. We need to see how they can be rehabilitated and come back to the society. The parents of those who are drug addicted are suffering because they have no way to help them. And if this bill can also put into place how they can be assisted, that can really help. Honorable Speaker, another category of the vulnerable in our society is the people living with HIV/AIDS. We know very well that HIV/AIDS is something that affects our society and something that has been here with us for many years now, and many families are affected. And these are the vulnerables in our society that need serious attention. And this social protection bill will help all the people that are in need of the government support in every part of the country. And then we will be able, even for us as members of parliament, then we'll be able to know our needy people and support them through this bill. Honorable Speaker, we need to have serious data of all the categories that I have mentioned. And unless we have the data, we will not be able to take care of all the vulnerable people in our society. Simply because, like where I come from, we have people living in different parts of that country, Marsabit, and the distance between the headquarters and where the people are living is quite long, and we may not be able to know. So it is good for the government to take serious, to give serious attention in collecting the data of the vulnerable in every part of this country. And as we do that also, Honorable Speaker, one thing that can guide us is the poverty level in our country. The poverty level in our country is quite high. For example, Kenya as a country, over 39% live below the poverty level. Honorable Speaker, 40%, 39.6% is quite high. And to make the matters worse, the vulnerable in our societies are nowhere, and we have not given them much attention in the past. The 2,000 that the elderly people are given will not be able even to buy them medication. Like when you consider the poverty level, the county that I come from, Marsabit, it's at 66 point something %, meaning that many people are living in that very poor situation. And when this social protection bill will come into place, then we'll be able to trace all of them where they are and give them the necessary support. Honorable Speaker, there is another challenge that I want to bring out as we register our people, and especially for those people who come from the border counties, like my county. Our people don't have the IDs. I thank the president who has now said that the IDs should be given without any serious vetting. Honorable Speaker, we have elderly people of over 70 years old who do not have IDs, and yet their children are graduates, their children have gone to universities, their children are working in Kenya, and yet they have been denied. So as we push for this bill, I want to also request the government to make sure that the elderly in our country, the elderly people in our country, and especially counties like Marsabit County, which is at the border, should be given special priority for people to be registered and given ID cards so that they can also qualify for this bill and for this social protection care, so that they can be given and they can be included in the list. Honorable Speaker, as I conclude, we need to create enough of awareness. We have so many policies that are there in place, but Kenyans don't understand. So the best thing that we can do as a government is to create awareness of the bills or their human rights, so that people at the village level, then they'll be able to know what belongs to them and be able to demand for their rights. Honorable Speaker, with those few remarks, I support the bill and I encourage the members of parliament to contribute positively so that this bill can be enacted and support our vulnerable people, the widows, the orphans, the people living with disability, the people living with HIV/AIDS, and all the others that need our attention. Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and I support.
Member for Seme. Their hands up this side. We're given 3 this side in a row. So
Thank you.
This side also have a chance. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving this opportunity. I rise to support this bill. Mr. Speaker, social protection is one act that actually distinguishes the human society from the animal societies. It is only human beings in their right senses that actually make programs that protect vulnerable people. Animals don't do that. So this is an extremely important bill for us. And our constitution, the 2010 constitution, actually takes care of that. And this is in line with the constitution. If you look at chapter 4, the Bill of Rights, particularly Article 43 of our constitution, it will tell you that the areas that we actually need to protect people, the area of health, the area of housing, the area of access to water and sanitation, and social security. So this is actually in line with the Constitution. Mr. Speaker, we have to look at the issue of poverty in our country, defined by expenditure of about $2.15 per day. We have a poverty level ranging from 26 to 46% in various parts of the country. And it is more so in urban areas than even in rural areas, where in urban areas, a monthly income of 88,000 per month will really define you as living in under poverty, and while the rural areas 4,300. So, Mr. Speaker, this bill will protect those people in that category. And it's not only protection, it actually improves survival of people. There are families that just with the minimal social protection, the children will actually survive. The children can go to school. And in that way, not only survive, but you actually improve human capital. Their children, if they're supported from such families, will actually get proper education and have social mobility. Mr. Speaker, social protection is also an investment, not just an investment in the social sense, but actually socio-economic investment. Where there are cash transfers, it has actually been proven that for every dollar that is given as a cash transfer, you actually get a return in the economy of $8. So it's not just that the money that is being given in cash transfer is just spent. It's actually an investment. It's also a political investment. Some of us may know, some of us may have heard about President Lula, who actually people forced him to go back even after coming from jail, being jailed by his opponents because of the social protection programs he started that actually moved a large number of Brazilians from poverty into middle income level. So this is something that we really must support. I know there was the bill of the late Honorable Laboso, which I actually participated in, but I think it was not actually implemented. Having this bill, I think, is the right thing, and I hope this time we are serious about it. And social protection is in all areas. If you look at the area of just survival, the area of food, the area of housing, the area of shelter, the area of education, the area of healthcare, all these are actually social protection. So, Mr. Speaker, in our country, we actually have a lot of ongoing social protection programs. But I think this bill will actually help to organize and coordinate them. Mr. Speaker, a working social protection will be a big relief to politicians, members of parliament. You know how we actually contribute to all social ventures in families, and if you have proper social protection, some of that will actually be taken care of. In this country, there are a lot of ongoing social protection programs, but most of us just think of cash transfer programs, which we have for orphans and vulnerable children, which we have for elderly persons, which we have for persons with disability. But even feeding programs in schools are a social protection. Even agricultural subsidies are actually social protection. Social health insurance, like what we have in SHA, replacing it, that is also a social protection and a social security. So, Mr. Speaker, we have this and they are going on, but they have challenges because there is no legal framework that takes care of this. And the challenges, if you take, for example, the cash transfers, the issue of disbursement is a big issue, and we've never gone through a session without a member raising the cash transfer for elderly persons. Some people are not getting the means of getting the cash transfers. We tried direct payment. We tried getting now into mobile phones, and we still have a problem that with the disbursement. We also have lack of coordination because, as I've said, all these social protections, if there is no proper coordination, there'll be a lot of double dipping. So you'll find that a family may be getting under a disability area, then the same family will be probably getting it in bursary. The same families will be having orphans and vulnerable children. So there is need for some coordination. And that's a big challenge in the social protection programs that we have. There is the issue of just pure theft and graft, because if it's not properly organized, now in cash transfers, there are people who are helping the persons that are the recipients. And these people themselves actually do steal from these people. Even the officers that are actually running this program, even the banks, some monies even get lost in the banks. So again, there is need to do that. There is also the problem, we don't have an exit programs, because in some cases of social protection, people can actually, like orphans and vulnerable children, there's an age which they reach when they should exit. Even families, you do not only give social protection if it is cash transfer, there are social protection that should actually be income generating, on which people are placed once they start getting cash transfers. So people actually, I was involved in these programs, we reach situations where when mothers and women groups were actually given social protection, they reach the point when they say, actually, I've now started my own business. I now actually don't need this. And we can give it to, we don't have that now. So that it seems to be forever and ever and ever, and we don't exit people from these programs. So we need to look at that. Also, we don't have the systems of responding to socioeconomic changes. As a member said earlier, we started with 2,000. Actually, we started with 1,500, and it is this house that actually, with the motion, moved it to 2,000. Maybe we need to do better. But we don't respond to the socioeconomic changes. We don't respond to inflation. So again, we need a system that will take care of that. So I support this bill. It actually addresses the very important issues that I've been talking about. If you look at clause 5, it actually addresses Article 43, the issue of equity, inclusivity, justice, lack of problem of discrimination, right-based approach, access, and so on. So that this bill actually is very appropriate. And if you go to clause 7 of the bill, it establishes a board. And if you look at the functions of the board in clause 8, Mr. Speaker, you will find that it will design, implement, monitor, and evaluate social protection interventions and programs. It's also going to create a registry. It's also going to coordinate this. So this bill actually is a bill that we must appeal to our colleagues to actually support this bill. And when it comes to the Committee of the Whole House, we'll make amendments, but it's a bill that we need to anchor our social protection programs on. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Member for Laikipia East.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I rise to support this bill. It is timely. And we all note that we have been having social protection programs across. And for the first time, with this bill, there will be order. You will note that this bill, if you look at section 7, where we are establishing a board, it means that for the first time, there will be order, there will be predictability, consistency, and the dignity of those members of society who are beneficiaries will now be taken care of. When you look at those people who are supposed to benefit, and especially the elderly, these are people who have served this nation. These are people who have laid the foundation of the nation, served us very well, and now they are in that age whereby we need to take care of them. But what is happening these days is that if you look at the societies, the burden that they are still shouldering, the responsibilities, because anything that happens in the society, they are the ones you look upon beyond so that we can have solutions. You get when our young people get neglected or they neglect themselves, end up in a drug addiction, they fall back to the same parents that are supposed to support them. You get a society whereby the elderly are now the ones supporting the young generation who are supposed to be benefiting from the young people. You look at issues when accidents happen, and we have issues of disability in the society. Again, you get family members running away from those responsibilities, and they end up with the elderly people. So the issue here, once you look at the issues of disability, the orphaned, and the elderly, they end up lumping up into one thing that the elderly people carries this burden. When you look at members of parliament who have the opportunity to interact with the society on a daily basis, these people called members of parliament and other representatives, they shall be the first beneficiaries of this bill when it gets through. And we make sure that if it are the issues that are supposed to be in order, issues of timely payment, issues of identification, issues of making sure that the vulnerable people in the society get the opportunity to benefit, making sure that they are not discriminated, making sure that there is order. If there's a way they are going to be picked, we ensure that there is proper collaboration that you don't leave this one to the area chiefs alone. Proper teams are set up on the ground to make sure that there is the automatic qualification of the needy in the society. Mr. Speaker, if you look at the mode of payment, cash transfer, again, these are some of the issues that this board must be concerned to ensure that where you come from, you don't suffer because of coming from an area where modes of payment are not friendly to that kind of a society. You must look at this country, those people coming from northern Kenya, those people who are coming from areas where there is no banking facilities that are not well established, those people who cannot be able to access internet, and we make sure that that consistency, the way we are doing things, we don't latch into saying that this is the most applicable system, but you look at an area individually so that these people can be able to benefit. The token they are given, some people might look at it, it's a very rich money. But if you look at it in terms of frustrations that are there in the society, today, you wake up in the morning, get people lined up in your compound as a member of parliament, and you give them 200 shillings, they are very happy, very satisfied that you have given them a livelihood for the day. But if you look at this money, and I'm happy that members of parliament have identified this income as an economic stimulant, because at the end of the day, it stimulates the economy of a particular area. A person earning even 2,000 per month, it's enough to cushion these families from
street, hardly 10 meters from one group to the other, you find people who are vulnerable on the streets. And Mr. Speaker, I think we should do something about it. My suggestion is that once we pass this motion, we should be able to see it, to have even a committee of the whole house to be able to see the way forward. And I can tell you, one of which is that we then, of course, will have the government that we actually oversee the government that we normally look and direct, that we direct the reform at department. Specifically to deal with this vulnerable group that are on the, that be able to deal with them, so can be able to see these are our brothers and sisters, blood relations. I've also had a chance, Honorable Speaker, to travel. I was in Denmark, and I've also been in Poland, and I can tell you that I think once we pass this motion, we'll then be able to do the benchmarking and see how these two countries have actually dealt with the vulnerable groups in those respective countries. And they have set up a department that specifically dealing with this kind of issue. And I think we are not too far from it. And therefore, we therefore should be able to deal with this case by even doing the benchmarking. Secondly, the infrastructure that currently we are dealing with in our own respective constituencies and areas where we represent the people. I think infrastructure is very important. See, for example, in Nairobi, the area like yesterday, some friend has just mentioned, Madari, where people live in a very bad condition. These are Kenyans like we are. We can't exclude ourselves from this group. And so yesterday, and I couldn't even believe, where the whole family actually was smashed by by the stones that actually were actually trampling as it was raining. We have that problem, and therefore we should be able to do something about this and deal with at least even in infrastructure to be able to look at the living standards of our people, because these are people that are with us. There's no difference. Thirdly, we also want to look at the benefits that we can be able to have as we set up a department or whatever it is. It can also be spread in all constituencies of this country, 290 constituencies, and so that each constituency can be able to deal with the cases of disabilities, cases of these people who are parentless, people actually, the aged that actually do not know what to do, so they can be able to have at least the money that can be transferred to these particular families. And I can assure you that from my own observation, without pointing a finger to an individual, this money that has been given to the cash transfers, Mr. Speaker, you'll be shocked, is part of the corruption in this country. Money has always been transferred properly. It's supposed to be, there was 1 million shillings, and I think the 2 million shillings. Okay, fine. Once he gets 2 million shillings, a family gets 2 million shillings, is good enough. But that money sometimes it never reaches to the people that are supposed to get the money. I find the money actually, somebody signs off, say, yeah, we just transferred the money, and yet the money has not been transferred to the people that are actually supposed to get that money. So I want also to ask the House here today that we pass this particular bill and set up a department, create a department. I don't know in which department, which I think maybe whatever it is, so that can specifically be dealing with this particular issue, as was mentioned, so that they can be able to, how people are benefited, can be listed, who are the beneficiaries of this particular one, how do you go about it in terms of infrastructure, the rest of it.
Member for Kwanza, this bill establishes a board. There's a board inside this, in the bill.
Yes, I'm supporting it.
Now I'm just asking if you're proposing for another body, another agency.
No. After passing this particular bill, we'll then be able to come up with what are suggestions to reinforce whatever we have said, because it's a very important bill. And I want to thank the person who raised this bill, because it's important. Out here, we're having problems. And you walk out here, Mr. Speaker, you walk even the street now, and you get embarrassed. And you say, are you a Kenyan? When some people run after you, they have not eaten, and what have you? People have not who slept on the streets. People who actually don't have clothing. So that's what I'm saying. We are, after passing this bill, we'll then be able to look at what implementations can be able to reinforce this particular bill. And I think the Speaker, without wasting so much time, I want to say that I support this, and I hope and pray that we'll be able to take some of the considerations I've just listed and be able to see that people who are suffering out there can actually benefit from the same. I support.
Member for Nambale.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me the chance to speak on this bill. Mr. Speaker, I can say that this bill is very timely, and is one of the bills that will help protect our valuable members of our society, and then so that they can ensure that they also realize the provisions of Article 43 of our Constitution on economic and social rights. Mr. Speaker, you will note that under Article 43 of the Bill of Rights, it provides that each and every Kenyan has the right to free from hunger. Then you ask yourself, is this a reality when you walk around our constituency, that each and every Kenyan is free from hunger? There are people vulnerable. There are very elderly people who cannot even attend to their farms. They have no children. They have nobody to support them so that they can farm and have food on their table. But there was no means through which the government was going to come in and help them. Yes, I know that the government has tried through the Inua Jamii program, but even this particular program was not mopping out all vulnerable members of our society together. Mr. Speaker, we also have the people living with disability. In Nambale constituency, I know of a family that has 5 children of the members of the family that are disabled, and none of them have even a single wheelchair, Mr. Speaker. So when we have such a bill that is creating a register for all vulnerable members of our society, it becomes easy to identify them, know them, and reach out where they are, so that these particular members of our society can also feel happy. They can feel to be Kenyans, just like any other people, members of our society. Mr. Speaker, I'm happy having gone through Section 28, section 29, I suppose section 28, that lists the particular groups of these particular people that requires social protection: the orphans, poor, older members of society, person with disability, person of extreme poverty, person affected by shocks. Mr. Speaker, you know that we are aware of the fact that you may come to a situation whereby a father has died, a mother has died, leaving behind children. And then you find that the older child of that particular family is now taking responsibility to take care of his younger siblings. So now, with such a kind of legislation, it will be very easy for us to identify these particular people so that these particular orphans, they can be given social protection by the government instead of giving this burden to another younger or equally weaker member of that particular family. Mr. Speaker, we also know that from the Inua Jamii program, we have been having complaints about people who benefit from this particular project. The way the people are being identified so that they can benefit from the project, from the program. But this particular bill, under section 32, provides for a review. If a member is dissatisfied that he is a person who is a vulnerable member of society, yet has not been captured in the register, he can apply to the board for review so that the board can consider a decision. If the board still declines, that particular member has the right to move to the High Court for an appeal. These are very comprehensive provisions that are going to ensure that there is no favorism in terms of selecting on who is supposed to benefit in the program or who is supposed to be identified as a vulnerable member of society. Mr. Speaker, also creation of the board to manage the affairs of the vulnerable members of our society is very important, because whatever that was doing through the ministry, it was not easy for the vulnerable members to identify where they are going to channel their problems or where they are going to raise issues. For instance, a member who is a vulnerable member of society, where he's supposed to lodge his complaints, where he's supposed to lay his appeals in terms of support of food, support of school fees and other things. Mr. Speaker, as members of parliament, every time we visit our constituencies, it becomes a problem because you are faced with all manner of problems. The members of parliament are performing the function of the board that's being now established to protect the vulnerable members of society. Because you will be faced with the school fees needs, you will be faced with the members who have no food to eat, you will be faced with the vulnerable members who have no housing, you will be faced with the vulnerable members who are disabled members of the society without even a wheelchair, and they want support. And all these particular problems, Mr. Speaker, are now being catered for by government, which I'm very happy about, and I strongly support this particular bill so that all Kenyans can realize the provisions provided for in our Bill of Rights under Article 43. It does not just remain a mirage, so that it's a right that is provided for, but cannot be achieved by members of society. So, Mr. Speaker, I support the bill.
Thank you. Ndofonyatike. Honorable Dege, this is your chance.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Allow me to join my colleagues in supporting this timely bill. In the last parliament, I served in the Labor and Protection Committee, and I could detect there are a lot of loopholes on the current structures we have to support the vulnerable people we have in the society. When you look at the proposal before us, it's clear that there is an attempt to solve most of those issues using this bill before us. And I would urge ourselves as a House to take this opportunity to make sure that we panel beat this bill and ensure that we sort out all the issues which are outside there. As a member representing a constituency, I can tell you the issues we are meeting outside there on people who are very vulnerable. It's very tempting because you'll find yourself to be changed from a honorable member of parliament to be a welfare officer because majority of people who cannot make ends meet will always knock at your door because they don't have any way out, but they have to look for you as a leader to help them solve their personal issues, which I think this bill can help to cure so that we have a way of making Kenyans be dignified. In fact, if you want to measure the success of a country, you look at how that country is treating people who are less fortunate in with their midst. If you are in a country where people who are less fortunate are not considered and helped, that's a failed state. Again, you look at our country here and all over Africa. If you go to a country where you find hawking on the roadside is a major activity in a country, that country is poor. That's a country, majority of people in that country are living below minimum wage. And you'll find majority of those people are hawking outside there. Most of them are vulnerable. Some of them are walking using support. Some of them are left along the roadside to beg. Those are things which we can cure if we thoroughly worked on this bill. Another area of concern which I want us to be very clear about is the criteria of enrollment. If you are in your constituency today and you go down there, you'll find people who are over 70 and are not benefiting, visiting your home almost every time you're at home. Why are they coming? They are questioning why their neighbors are benefiting and themselves are not listed. So if we come with a very clear criteria where when you attain a certain age and you are vulnerable, you are automatically listed, it will bring equity, it will bring fairness, it will make people have a very clear mind of those who are benefiting so that we are not made to be welfare officers. We want a government which is responsive, a government which will ensure that those who deserve are given. Currently, if you go to the ministry and you look at the criteria of recruitment, it depends on the available budget for the ministry. If they have less money and we have people who are qualified to be recruited and it cannot fit in their budget, they'll only go with what budget can accommodate. They will not have any criteria to clearly indicate who is supposed to be picked. So I think if we come out with a bill or a law which will ensure that those who are qualified, the government is at obligation now and are mandated to ensure that these people are given money, I think we will be in a very fair country. We will be in a situation where everybody will be treated fairly and people will be happy in Kenya. On issues of how we can run this fund, I think by creating a board is very good. It's very good because currently the fund is being managed at the ministry level. There are no specific mandates which are coming out clearly and specific people who can be charged with the responsibility. The person available currently is a PS, and we know PS is having a number of issues around him. So by creating a board which will look into the issues related to social protection, I think this one is very good because it will also help us to go down and define of human resource do we need to serve this board? What kind of people do we need to help implement this good idea up to the lowest level possible? That identification criteria, if we get the right people who can be charged with the responsibility to ensure that everybody within our society who are qualified are rightly identified at the right time and are given the opportunity to be served by the board, I think this is going to be the fairest thing we are going to experience as a country. And Honorable Speaker, allow me to join my colleagues in supporting this bill. I thank you.
Member for Nakuru Town East.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to support this very important bill on the social protection. Honorable Speaker, just a word of caution. Looking at the bill and the way it is structured, Honorable Speaker, and the way the beneficiaries will be picked, it is important for us to note, much as the bill has indicated provisions on how fraud, misinformation be handled, it is important, Honorable Speaker, to look at the penalties seriously, because how are you delisted from as a member, Honorable Speaker? It gives criteria on how your name is removed as a beneficiary, either by voluntary leaving or you're out of the country for over 12 months. Honorable Speaker, that is the area that we really need to look into, so that again we don't benefit, or even dead beneficiaries who are already long gone, and yet they are still on a list, and the beneficiaries are still claiming that money and not putting it to proper use. Honorable Speaker, when I was looking at the bill and looking at the definition, the older persons are listed as 60 years. We had a discussion this morning where we were taking tea there, and I say, no, for you to benefit, it must be 70 years. And I am glad that the bill has now clarified that it is the older persons, because basically these are the most. So 60 years, Honorable Speaker, for older persons as beneficiaries of this scheme, Honorable Speaker, will go along. The implementation, Honorable Speaker, is very key and well explained in the Act, where it talks about equity, social justice, things that has always been forgotten. In the past, you would find some provincial administration, particularly the chiefs, are those who are given that responsibility to go and identify, for them only to bring people who do not deserve. So the implementation of this goes towards people who are benefited, and now the inclusiveness, non-discrimination, and participatory. And I think that is a key, Honorable Speaker, for us to be able to identify. Honorable Speaker, if you look at the clause 6, talks about the county government involvement. In Nakuru, for example, we have a place called Arms House. It is a place where elderly people are taken care of by the county government. It talks about how then do we bring on board county governments in this program. And it talks about the county government, different county governments will come with their own legislation on how best can they ride on this act to be able to make their own legislation, so for them to be able to handle social protection matters. And in Nakuru, for example, it used to be very vibrant when we used to have the municipalities. But as we are talking now, you will find only 3 or 4 wazees who are there, even sometimes lacking. So it is important, the involvement of county, even including them as reps in the board, because I think we have one vacancy that is left for county governors to be able to bring their representation in the board, so that they can be part and parcel of this very important issue. Honorable Speaker, 9 members in the board. I think again we need to be to look critically as Parliament, that we've been talking about the number of people who should. Is it a must that we must have 9, or can we have a lesser number but very effective? The aspect of also, of course, it's understandable where you bring a PS whose ministry is involved and treasury because of the disbursement of the amounts of money. But Honorable Speaker, it is key as we give the Cabinet Secretary an opportunity to pick from the other 4 outside the government, that it is important, so that again we don't have legislation. Honorable Speaker, the Climate Change Council, for example, that we were saying that we get a representative from a certain organization that deals with, then they end up taking themselves, if you pick from this association and not from the other, they go to court, and then the Climate Change Council never worked for 5 years. We vetted, and we were unable to give the names to the president to pick, because again they went back to court. So again, it is important as the Cabinet Secretary is speaking, so that again we avoid legislation. I should just give a direct appointment, so that again we don't end up having a board that will never even be working because that you didn't pick a member from this board that is associated. You know, like LSK, it's only one body. If you tell LSK, give us a person, they give. But you find in these other setups, you find they have different small bodies here and there, and then they bring. Honorable Speaker, the board member, the experience aspect. Honorable Speaker, had an opportunity for the National School Drama Festivals that were happening in Nakuru. Honorable Speaker, had an opportunity to accompany President for when they visited State House. And one of the plays that won in that drama festival for 2025 was won by a school here in Nairobi. And it was talking about how generally life is all about. And at one point talked about experience. Honorable Speaker, that you could not, one of the students who had just finished and had first class honors could not be able to be employed just because they didn't have an experience. Honorable Speaker, experience again is something that we really need to look into. The 10 years experience, Honorable Speaker, in my thinking, and hopefully when we'll be going for the third reading, we will be bringing some amendments so that again we don't lock out youthful members of the society who might be able to want to join because of the experience. Honorable Speaker, the cash transfer and the transfer in kind also brings about something that is very critical, the services. Honorable Speaker, we cannot only talk about that cash transfer and transfer in kind, and then we forget about rehabilitation. And this bill brings about rehabilitation. Honorable Speaker, you'll find stressful wazes or even young people who are out there who needs this. So it brings these services, be it of psychological care, be it of matters to do the home-based care like the one that, again, this bill talks very effectively on that line. Honorable Speaker, the members, how are you identified? It talks about a Kenyan citizen, of course, and of course, the orphans, the people with disability, but it also talks about non-Kenyan citizen which requires an emergency. And Honorable Speaker, that is key, because sometimes you might find you are not a Kenyan, but you are here and there is an emergency, and this bill has taken care of that issue. On application, who applies, Honorable Speaker, elderly people, sometimes they are too old for them to be able to apply. And so this bill gives a way for a representative of the beneficiary to be able to apply on behalf of the beneficiary, which is a very good indication. Honorable Speaker, on matters to do with the appeals under 33 is 30 days. That if you're not happy with the decision of a board, at least you have 30 days for you to be able to make an appeal. Honorable Speaker, about the abuse, termination, abuse suspension, if you abuse this, then you find yourselves in terms of you can be suspended. Honorable Speaker, there is quite a lot, particularly on data protection, that any person who is handling data related to this, it's key. So you must abide by the Data Protection Act so that you don't give out information that is required. Honorable Speaker, on matters of the penalties, I think that is another place that we'll be bringing some amendments. Honorable Speaker, a fine of 200K and 6 months because of unlawful disclosure, that is so little. It will encourage people to be able, and maybe fraud, 2 million and 5 years, that is where we should. So we'll be bringing some amendments, Honorable Speaker. And lastly is about the transition, that the board will take up all that was being done if it goes through. But most importantly, we don't go to what we have seen in SHA, that I'm a member of NHIF, and then when I transit to SHA, I have to register afresh. Honorable Speaker, the transition is very clear that you continue.
Member for Unyanges.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. And I wish from the onset to say that I am in full support of this proposal or this bill. Matters to do with the senior citizens, the people living with the disabilities, the most vulnerable people in our society is a matter that we need to address as fast as we can. And you see, we will be judged, Honorable Speaker, by the manner in which we treat these senior citizens. It is always very improper, Honorable Speaker, when we have some people who are benefiting from the money given to the elderly, while there are still people of the same age who do not benefit from the same fund. So it is unfair, and I think it is time, Honorable Speaker, that we have a regulation that is able to properly organize these people so that we can have fairness in the manner in which this money is shared, or rather this support is shared, so that also we have a good society. Honorable Speaker, there is a time I had a chance to go around my constituency and taking stock of the affairs in my constituency, and I realized that we have so many people living with disabilities. And when you go to the records available within government, you realize that most of these people are not enlisted. So there is no support that they get. They are hidden in some places in the rural areas and some in the urban areas. Many of them are not even able to access any form of education or training. And most importantly, they don't get any support from government. And I believe it is because, first of all, statistics on the number that we have of these people is rather unknown. So I would support this bill so that we have a registry of these people, so that in every constituency, in every ward, in every sublocation, the government of Kenya is able to tell how many people deserve the assistance. But going to what the Honorable Kunjuri said, Honorable Speaker, even as we think of how to support these senior citizens and those that deserve this form of support, it's good to think of how we can support them to have extra income, because I do not think that it is sustainable, because the money that we give them is money drawn from the tax payers. It is the people of Kenya that contribute this money in form of taxes. How about if we are able to enable or facilitate these people to make some extra money from what they do? Because you realize that a number of them have some pieces of land where they can do some basic farming. They can keep a cow, they can keep a goat. Some have some few coffee bushes, some have some few tea bushes. How about if we ensure that they can get more money from what they do? Yeah, like we acknowledge that the government of Kenya, or rather Kenya Kwanza administration, promised that milk will be sold for not less than 50 shillings. Yes, while that is happening, we also take notice that we are buying animal feeds at a very high cost. So the benefits that we are getting from selling for 50 and above, that is being taken away by the high cost of animal feeds. How about if we are able to address such, so that those people who can keep a cow, a goat, or can do some basic farming, can keep chicken here and there, are able to supplement their income? Because it is not sustainable if a lot of people in this country become independent. So even as we think of having a legal framework to assist these people, Honorable Speaker, I believe it is okay if we can legislate to support these people in a way that they can get extra income. So having said that, Honorable Speaker, I support.
The Honorable
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity also to support the bill, and honor set and support the bill. Mr. Speaker, social protection refers to a set of policies or programs aimed at protecting all people against poverty. and especially the vulnerable groups throughout their lives. And Mr. Speaker, Kenya has tried to bring up social protection programs in this country. And according to Kenya Social Protection Policy 2023, there are 3 pillars which are supposed to guide on the issues of social protection in the country. One of them being income security pillar. Second, social health protection. And the third one, therefore, the third one is shock response social protection, and the last one is complementary program in the country. And it's based on this policy whereby we have this bill, which is supposed to actualize the policy on social protection. Currently, there are 3 kinds of social protections in Kenya. There's the cash transfers, access to basic health care, and enhanced social supports. On the issues of social transfers, Mr. Speaker, everybody is aware that government has been transferring 2,000 shillings to the people who are 20 years and above, and also to the disability.
20 years and above?
70 years and above. Sorry, I'm sorry for that. And also disabled people. This money helps them to cater for their day-to-day needs, especially food and other essentials. But I've also realized that when this money does not come, some people will come and tell you that they have also been paying, using the money to pay school fees for their grandchildren. The money has been, of course, the disbursement has been a challenge. Sometimes they still have to 6 months without getting the money. And therefore, the impact of this money is not really felt, because if somebody stays for 6 months without getting the money, the impact becomes very minimal. The other thing is for a long time, there's no new registrations of the health people. You realize that people have become 70, 75, but they have not registered. And this is an area which the government needs to look into, because really, you don't want people coming to, as a member of parliament, coming to you to ask for support because they are already 70 years. Another challenge which is facing this is the inflation. The 2,000 since they registered maybe over 10 years ago, the value of that 2 shillings has declined significantly. So I think the government needs to look for more funds and make sure this money is moved from 2,000 to something like 2,000 or 5,000, which can be significantly be used to help our vulnerable groups. Mr. Speaker, the other one is access to health, to basic health care. And that's where now the share comes in. The share, the she, and all those ones. And before the share, we used to have an SSF, which before we migrated to share. And you know, share has faced a lot of challenges, including registration of persons. I understand there are only, the number of people who have registered, there are, by last week, I think I saw, there are 21 million. The people who are contributing to share funds, there are less than 5 million people. And therefore, when it comes to funding and disbursement of that money and the support from the 5 million people to 21 million people becomes a challenge, because that money is not enough. Because when we were in Naivasha, we were told every month they are contributing around 6 billion, but the demand is more than 6 billion. Therefore, there's a challenge of that. Mr. Speaker, when you look at our health facilities across the country, they are wanting. A lot of health facilities have not up to standards. They have no drugs. And even the access, some of them are very far from the people who are who are supposed to be to get health care, because health care is not about money. Access is about access in terms of finances and the distance. So most of them are and I believe, Mr. Speaker, where you come from, the health facilities from one to the other one is hundreds of kilometers away. And that's something we need to work on. On the issue of social support, in 2000, thereabouts, we used to have pro-poor programs in the country. I think we forgot that, but we also introduced WESO Fund, Women Fund, Youth Fund. But these funds, the administration of these funds is quite wanting. The disbursement, because I believe the money which was given, initial seed money, is still the money which is circulating, and the population and the demand for this money has increased. And I think government needs to look for money so that at least these funds, this initiative can have enough money to fund the people. But again, I will just be looking at the WESO Fund, Women Fund, and Youth Fund. Each one of them has one officer. Why can't we collapse all the funds and make it one? Have enough staff facilitated to move around to dispense the money and collect the money which has been given to the groups. So passing of this bill and setting up the board, I hope it is going to help to challenge, to help to sort out these challenges, which has been faced by social protection programs in the country. With those few remarks, I support.
The Honorable Sane Ibrahim, MP for Wajir North.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. When we talk about social protection, what comes to mind is cushioning people from vulnerabilities. Cushioning people so that the risks they face is mitigated, so that you strengthen their rebound, they are more resilient, and be able to continue with life as it was. Mr. Speaker, from where I come from, northern Kenya, droughts and famine have been serious risks to lives and livelihoods of people. Pastoralists keep livestock for their well-being. Droughts and also climate change of late, there has been serious concern on the adaptability of people with the emerging risks. Social protection has been with us for quite some time, Mr. Speaker. Relief food has been a common intervention, but that has not been effective. Then came the Hunger Safety Net program, which was co-funded by the donor communities. Civil society has been the driving force of that program. Hunger Safety Net has moved, there has been a shift from relief food intervention to cash transfers. Cash transfer has been a very effective way of responding to vulnerabilities and risks in that note. Mr. Speaker, cash has been effective in doing away with cartels and corruption around the sale of relief food. Cash has been direct to the recipient. There were no intermediaries. Cash has been more effective in the way, whereas relief food only targeted the food component, cash transfer has offered the needs of the bigger spectrum of a vulnerable household, from food, clothing, Medicare, all that they could do, though the amount that was being given, the stipend, was of a lower amount. Mr. Speaker, this bill, social protection, gives a holistic approach in terms of protecting people from vulnerabilities, abject poverty, social exclusion throughout their life cycle. More so with an emphasis on those who are really vulnerable, the elderly, the widows, the orphans, and for those who are extremely in abject poverty. Mr. Speaker, I do welcome that holistic approach, and I believe we only need to strengthen it further by making sure that we double the amount, the stipend so far being given by government from around 2,000, if we can at least take it to 5,000. It will not be sufficient, but I believe it will go a long way in meeting the needs of those vulnerable households in the urban centers, in the pastoral communities, where that small amount can do a big thing in the lives of those who are so affected. Mr. Speaker, social cohesion, social protection is all about offering a safety net from people who have lost their livelihood. And I believe there is no better way to upholding our values as they are in the Constitution, those values of equity, inclusion, social, upholding all those good social standards by making sure that our marginalized, our vulnerable lot in the society are mainstreamed, and there is law at least anchored on that kind of approach. This bill has come the right time to make sure that social protection is anchored on laws that are, it's not only left to the civil society rather, but the government takes the front to make sure that our vulnerabilities are addressed. Without taking much of your time, and I know there are my colleagues who are in the queue, I support this bill. Thank you.
The Honorable Member for Bondo Ochanda. Gideon.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, as we legislate around issues of social protection, I want to believe that there are things that we need to consider, which we've not been looking at adequately as a nation. Number one, in the modern countries, modern world now, every young person after college starts thinking seriously about his or her life after work or upon retirement. Many of us here, particularly in this country, hardly think about that, hardly think about their lives after work. And yet, this, if you go to the West, you go in most of the modern countries, the young people start looking at what is it, how are they going to be after work? How are they going to be when they get older in the society? So that means that we need to start looking at this thing through different processes. Either we have to place some element of education, either in the curriculum, towards end of college, towards end of school, so that young people get to know that there's life after retirement. And that life is not in anybody's hands, it's in their hands. So when you're looking at this, Mr. Speaker, for purpose of those who are in formal work, or those who get to do formal work, in this country we have around 5 million people who are in formal work, including 700 or so that are working with the public service. Put together, they're around 5 million. It is this 5 million that may be talking about issues of pension, meaning that the rest of the population, the rest of other people who are going to be doing their own things privately are not seen, are not being covered anywhere in a formal way. While you're at work, there's the issue of pension, which of course has also been having all manner of problems. You are retired, you've been on pension, and you don't get your pension. The processing of pension takes forever. So these are some of the things that really needs to be looked at. But the main concern is, what of those who are out of pension? How are we looking at their lives when they get older in the society? What's the government doing? Because a larger population that is much more bigger than what the government is taking care of in the name of pension arrangements. So as a government, some level of education, some level of conscientization need to be done at a younger stage, where young people start to think about their lives when they are not in work. That's very critical, and we need to look at it as we do our things. But Mr. Speaker, again, as we do what we normally do, we are learning very little. Either as a government or as agencies that are there, we are learning very little. We are constantly struggling with things that are so easy and we hardly learn or we hardly do them right. Mr. Speaker, I remember in the last 1 or 2 governments, we were struggling with the issue of intelligence. Here in this National Assembly, we placed money for 3-4 consecutive years, 6 billion, 6 billion, 6 billion. But for purpose of UHC, identifying the indigents in this country didn't work out. We didn't succeed. And that's exactly for the 3 years, that money was never used. And of course, now we are talking about when UHC is dead. Yeah. So we are not learning from that. We are also not learning from what works. We are struggling with structures of how to let the national government functions reach out to the lowest level. And we've had experiments. But CDF has done it. In as much as there are these little scares here and there, the structure of CDF has given us a very good learning platform in terms of how we can reach out with the national government functions to the ground. And constantly, this is never utilized. There's the issue of, for example, cash transfers. It's happening, it's working, and it's good. But is that the only way how we want to look at it? If you track individually these persons that get money, the 2,000, you are trying to support them, but get to reach out to their homes, how these people are living. You realize that that money, they are not spending on them. The money is spent on some other younger people, grandchildren, spent on other who are either left for them to support by their sons or whatever. So in the end, what we are calling about, all we're talking about in the name of 2,000, does not help these people. So in as much as it's good, are we able to trace? Are we able to cross-check in terms of what exactly is happening? And that's why the whole issue of older people's homes was critical. It's not being looked at by county governments, not being looked at by our government, national government, but if you are able to avail, for example, in every sub-location, an arrangement where older people can get to have food, can get to have water, can get to have proper clothing, I think we'll be doing much more better than the arrangement where we are transferring 2,000, and these 2,000, we are not too sure whether it's being used on these older people. In fact, I was amazed some 2 days ago when I was learning that chiefs and assistant chiefs were taking 1,000 bob from the older persons when they go to pick money in terms of the initial arrangement where they are going to the post office to pick money from the from the markets. So while we are seeing this and we are wasting, we are also saying that no, there are structures that have worked. Why don't we use those structures? Why don't the national government just be firm that their point of development is at the constituency level? And we have all these things, all the functions coordinated properly at the constituency level, then we'll reach out to the public, we'll reach out to the people that we are talking about. So, Mr. Speaker, what I'm trying to emphasize again is we are learning much, much more less from what we are doing, whether we are failing or succeeding. We are not building on successes. We keep repeating on failures. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to believe that if the national government will sit and reconsider exactly at what point do they place development at the lower levels of Nairobi. Because if they don't do that, we'll keep this problem of somebody sending circulars, do the identification, they do wrong identification, you wait for circulars in terms of this and that, things don't work, because some of the departments, some of the departments of government that we are talking about, don't have their structures down there. So they get to rely on gaus. These guys have also had their tricks of doing things wrongly. So, Mr. Speaker, these are some of the things that we really need to consider very, very, very seriously when we are debating or when we are legislating on issues to do social protection. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Is the honorable member for Meru MP for Meru?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity just to add my voice on this social protection bill. I particularly want to think about the people living with disabilities. even as I go around Meru, I've realized that there are so many children who are already locked in houses just because their mothers have to go and get some casual work to be able to feed the families. It's so sad because these caregivers for the people living with disability have no even the slightest income. Even as we are thinking about the elder people, of course, obviously, the older people need also an opportunity to get some little help, but I wish that we consider very seriously the caregivers for people living with disabilities because they are not able to go and look for work because they have to take care of their children or even other grown-ups that they live with. The other thing is orphans. Sometimes in an African setup, we think that orphans are taken care of by their uncles or even their grandparents, but it's not the case. So even as we continue thinking about even increasing this stipend, because even the 2,000 is not enough really, that we think about the orphans, where they live. That of course is touching on housing. In my county, I've started a program called Jenga Keja, where we go building houses for the very vulnerables, where they only have mud houses, which are actually like staying outside because you can see through. So I can't agree more, even as I emphasize what my colleagues have said. They are putting so much in this regard. So I just wanted to add my voice into this bill of social protection because it's about time. Actually, it's so timely. It's it should have happened like yesterday because there's too much trouble. And of course, the members of parliament, we've been the caregivers for the whole county. Every morning is money for going to hospital, for school fees, for every kind of help that our people need. So, Honorable Speaker, I just want to support this motion. Thank you very much.
The MP for Westlands, Timonyonyi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for also giving me a chance to contribute to this motion. Mr. Speaker, this bill, the object of this bill, Mr. Speaker, is to reduce poverty and vulnerability and improve the well-being of people by providing assistance. Mr. Speaker, the people who need assistance are normally senior citizens, people with disabilities, and some marginalized people in very remote rural areas. Mr. Speaker, when you talk about senior citizen, sometimes we are putting it at 60. And Mr. Speaker, the life expectancy in this country is about 45 years. I've been paying, Mr. Speaker, NHIF for senior citizens in my constituency. And initially we had put the age at 60, and it was nearly almost impossible to get the numbers. So we had to reduce that number to 50. That's when we could raise about 200 people, Mr. Speaker. When you talk about 60, 70, you will find very few people. So I'd rather we look at this and maybe put it at 55 other than 60 so that we can capture many people. And there are so many vulnerable people. And if you go to the village, Mr. Speaker, these days, because of poverty, people are reduced to, Mr. Speaker, when you look at somebody even who is 40, you'll imagine is 70 years old. So all these people need social support. Mr. Speaker, people with disability and this thing of called cash transfer. Sometimes, Mr. Speaker, this cash transfer is to the households instead of targeting the individuals. I would rather, Mr. Speaker, if they target individuals, it will have more impact than when they are doing household. Because when it comes to household, that person will rarely, maybe not even get any support from that money. Mr. Speaker. And then when Mr. Speaker, when we are looking at how we provide this social protection, especially to people with disability, Mr. Speaker, we need to include also assistive devices for people with disabilities so that they are given these devices to enable them to move around or go outdoor, Mr. Speaker, because a person who needs a wheelchair will not be able to move out if there's no access to wheelchair, and mostly in rural areas, you find the numbers of people with disabilities so high. And our national statistics, Mr. Speaker, the census, when they were doing the national census, Mr. Speaker, they framed the question very wrongly, that those who are enumerating people, Mr. Speaker, they did not get the accurate numbers for people with disability, and it was given very low, Mr. Speaker. When the World Health Organization puts it at in every country, 10% of the population are people living with disability. But this country, Mr. Speaker, we are putting it at 0 point something percent. And that is not very accurate. We need to check that, because this actually marginalizes people with disability. They are not getting the support they are supposed to get, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the other thing that we need to look at is, Mr. Speaker, is the numbers of people who are supported by the government, and also the level of support that are being given. I still believe that 2,000 shillings right now, you look at the value of the shilling is too low. If that money maybe could be raised to 5,000 and also expand the numbers, because when you come to our constituencies, when you count the people who are getting that cash transfer, there are very few. So we just need to change the way this thing is done, and then include more people. These people are very few. The numbers are very negligible. So if we don't, Mr. Speaker, reach out to as many people as we can. And I'm also not very comfortable that this transfer is done through the chiefs. This, Mr. Speaker, maybe there's a better way we can do it, because some chiefs also just behave, they don't behave well. They even make it more difficult for these people to access their money. So it will be better if we use the constituency offices. The constituencies, Mr. Speaker, I think will provide more accurate information and will also be very effective in terms of transferring that money to the people, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I think I support this bill. Thank you very much.
Madam Barto. The lady at the back.
Thank you,
there,
Mr. Speaker.
Did you put in your card? It's not there. Can you approach the chair? Maybe explain, and then you get it. I can't see your name there. Proceed, Madam Barto.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to put my voice on this social protection bill. Mr. Speaker, it's a very important bill, because it is going to give a legal framework on how the people in our societies who are vulnerable are going to be supported. Mr. Speaker, as societies progress, it creates more cases of vulnerabilities. For instance, we have had COVID, which affected so many families. We have had banditry. We always have insecurities and banditries. We have had calamities, which have created or which have killed sources of livelihood for many people in Kenya. And as a result, it is very important to have a bill, to have a framework where our members in society who are vulnerable are protected. Mr. Speaker, very important is the issue of registration. It is important to identify where these people are in the different parts of Kenya. we the issue all along, these members of our society have only been left to the ministry, where the cabinet secretary or the peers and the people who serve in those departments identify or register. But it is a very difficult task because they also have other duties, and they are overwhelmed by the duties in those ministries. So it is important to have a very clear-cut way of dealing with vulnerable people. We have children, we have women, we have the aged, and many a times, like in my constituency, you will find you encounter these people, and they are always complaining. Some have been registered and they benefit. Some don't even know they exist. We have widows, so it is important to make it open and clear, so that it is not a matter of knowing the chief or knowing the village elder so that you can be registered. How I wish that we have a desk or we have a center in every constituency where the members from the vulnerable members can just walk in and get assistance. And this board should have data for everyone, so that it is just a button away and they know who is there. And once money has been budgeted for this for the members of the society, it should be consistent. Consistency is very important. It is important that they will not be at the mercy of somebody to decide today we want to dispense the money, or tomorrow there is no money, the treasury is not able to dispense money. Because once you are vulnerable, you are in a bracket of you have a problem. So that problem should not, somebody should not take advantage and give you the money at their mercy. The money, the dispensing of the money should be very consistent. And we shouldn't also look at only giving the money, cash transfers. We should look at how they can be helped to have a livelihood. So that it's not just because, I mean, government might not be able to dispense every time, but these people can be put in maybe we can have aged care homes, we can have homes for people with disabilities, so that they can come together and we support them as a community, so that it is not about cash. Because sometimes even those who have been able to receive the cash have been taken advantage of by members of their families. Sometimes old people they receive the cash, and then somebody else goes to transfer that money elsewhere. I have a case in my constituency where one old lady committed suicide because when she received the money, her grandson went to transfer that money to his phone and he went for a drinking spree. So when she realized that the money is no more because it had been accumulated, it was money for 3 transfers cumulatively. So because she had missed the 3 times consecutively, now when she received the money in bulk, she was so excited and she thought maybe her life was going to change. But unfortunately, when the grandson transferred, she lost hope and she committed suicide. So it is very important to have a legal framework to streamline and also give them support. And not just receiving money, they should also be trained on financial management, so that they don't get the money and they spend it within 1 hour or within a day, and then eventually they don't have the money. Mr. Speaker, I have an issue on the members of the board, that is on the administrative side. I realize that for you to be a member of the board, you must be having a degree, and also you must have an experience of 10 years. When I read it, I thought about young people. You see, we are supposed to be inclusive as much as possible. Any bill, anybody should have inclusivity. So I'm imagining, for one to have a degree in Kenya, you will, I mean, if you went to school early, the earliest you can get a degree maybe is 23 years or 21. And then now it adds that you must have 10 years experience. So 10 years experience means plus 10, so you are 33. So I realize that it is going to lock out young people. So I hope it should be revised so that, I mean, that element of 10 years experience, especially for young people, shouldn't apply, because it means it is going to disadvantage them. So I support the bill and look forward to it getting operationalized so that we sort out this problem of people who are vulnerable in society once and for all. Because in Kenya right now, as society progresses, we are creating a gap of those who have and those who don't have, those who are vulnerable and those who are, and the world is very unkind. If nobody holds their hands, they will just be left, and it is our duty as religious people to take care of the vulnerable, because that is the duty which, I mean, it is our duty as a government. It is a biblical duty to support the vulnerable. Otherwise, Mr. Speaker, I fully support the bill, and I look forward to it getting operationalized.
The Honorable Tandasa, I think if you take as little as time as possible without repeating what has already been said, you will have an opportunity for all the members, because there's a lot of interest in this matter. Proceed, Honorable Tandasa.
Asante Mheshimiwa Spika. Kwanza nisimame kwa kuunga mkono huu mswada, kwa sababu kama ingekuwa ni kwa sisi ambao tuna dini ya Kiislamu, hii ningeifananisha na ule mfumo wa zaka ambao tunasema wale ambao wana uwezo wana jukumu la kuwasimamia wale ambao hawana uwezo. Na hapa ninasisitiza neno uwezo, ambao katika mikataba ya uwezo tunazungumzia mafukara. Fukara ikiwa ni ule mtu ambaye hana chochote, hajui atakula nini, atalala wapi, atakunywa nini. Alafu na maskini ikiwa ni ule mtu ambaye ako nacho lakini hakuimtoshi. Pengine angetaka kula chapati mbili, lakini kwa wakati ule hana uwezo wa kula chapati mbili, inabidi ale moja ama nusu pamoja na familia yake. Huyo ni maskini. Kwa hivyo mswada huu naunga mkono kwamba unafuatilia ule mfumo wa dini, kwamba lazima kama jamii tuweze kuwasimamia. Fedha ambazo watakuwa wanapatiwa ni fedha ambazo ni mapato yetu, ni yale marupurupu, ni ushuru ambao tunatozwa wale ambao tunafanya kazi, ni ushuru wanatozwa wale ambao wanafanya biashara na kupata faida. Kwa hivyo ni mfumo mzuri wa kuona kwamba hawa wenzetu wanaweza kusaidika. Sioni kwamba miaka ni kiegezo. Nikiunga mkono mswada huu, sioni kwamba miaka ni kiegezo, kwa sababu upo uwezekano wa mtu ndio kuwa na zaidi ya miaka 60 kama vile mswada unavyosema, lakini akawa na uwezo. Na kwa vile tunajua Wakenya, na hili tumeliona hata kwa mfumo wetu wa ile fedha tunayotoa ya CDF, ijapokuwa CDF basari inatakikana iwe ni ya yule mlalahoi, yule ambaye hana uwezo, lakini inatokea kwamba hata wale ambao wana uwezo bado huwa wanajaza hizi form kwa minajili wakisema hii ni pesa yetu, ni pesa ya serikali, ni pesa ya bure. Kwa hivyo ninahofia kwamba ikiwa miaka ndio itakuwa kiegezo peke yake, basi upo uwezo, kwa sababu mtu amefikisha miaka 60, basi moja kwa moja kusema naye anastahili, ambayo italeta upungufu wa fedha ambazo zinaweza kutolewa. La pili, Mheshimiwa Spika, ningetaka kuongezea kwamba pesa hii isitolewe kwa umoja, kwamba kama ni 2,000 kila mtu apate 2,000, kama ni 3,000 kila mtu apate 3,000, kwa sababu tunajua watu wana mahitaji mbalimbali. Kwa hivyo hii bodi ikishaundwa iweze kutengeneza sheria na kanuni za kuona ni vipi wataweza kumjulia mtu hali yake ya kiuhalisi. Huyo anastahili 3,000 kwa maisha yake na uwezo wake na familia yake, ni sawa. Huyo anastahili 10,000 kwa sababu ya majukumu alionayo pengine na maradhi alionayo, basi aweze kupatiwa fedha kulingana na mahitaji yake, sio kwamba kuwe na kiwango maalum ya kila mtu apate, ni kama kila mtu ana mahitaji sawa. Mheshimiwa Spika, naunga mkono na asante kwa kunipa fursa hii.
Honorable Daud, MP for Meru.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I support this bill, social protection bill, but I want to disagree with Honorable Tandaza, because when he talks about others getting more than the others, that will be a way of corruption. So when even the 2,000 which they are getting, in fact, we should now talk about the indigents, they're called indigents, who should be getting more than 5,000, because we should peg it to the inflation of the money which was there when when I first entered Parliament in 2013 during the 11th Parliament. And Mr. Speaker, we need to move it away, the registration. In my constituency, in the year 2014-15, when people were being registered for all people, you will not believe, Mr. Speaker, a lady was brought in a Mercedes-Benz, a big car, to be registered to get that 2,000 shillings, Mr. Speaker. And it was such a shame that she was registered at the end of the day, and she was, okay, she may have been old, but she was well-to-do, and she did not need that money to go to her account. Mr. Speaker, we need to narrow down. In the last Parliament, in the 12th Parliament, I went to the office of the PS of Labor, Social Protection, PS Marwa. I asked for a list of the people who are getting this 2,000 shillings. You will not believe it, Mr. Speaker. It took 2 years and I never received the list. I went there 5 times to get a list so that I could know who are the people getting it. So there is no transparency in the people who are getting it. The money goes to the banks. Sometimes we are told that 3 months money has not come. So we wonder when the old people who are going to get the money from the bank, and they are told the money has not come, and we are being told in Parliament that the money has been released. Who is eating that money? That is what we need to be told. If this bill will streamline that position, and we need to know how to devolve. They cannot be told a whole constituency comes to one place to come and collect the money. You would imagine an old person going on a motorbike, which is sometimes not safe, or them falling, or during the rainy season. How do they make it to that to the station where the money is being disbursed? Mostly it is in a primary school in my constituency. Sometimes it's elsewhere outside the KCB branch. We need this board, whichever will be appointed, that it streamlines how people are going to get the money. And there are many people out of the net. They need to be registered, because the people who have passed away, how are they being replaced? We do not know. The disabled, how are they being put onto the roster so that we know what is happening? So, Mr. Speaker, when we come to change, when we come to do amendments, I would want to even do an amendment that the money should be increased. And secondly, the mode of them getting the money should be there, because it should go right to the village, and taking them onto the register, putting them onto the register. Let it be done transparently, because if it's as if you know a chief is when you will be registered. If you do not know a chief, you will never get on that register. With those few remarks, thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I support, but with amendments.
Honorable MP for Samburu East, Leku Montare. Leku Montare.
Leku Montare, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to support this bill, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, our elderly people right now and the disabled on the ground are really suffering. And Mr. Speaker, this bill will come and help us to solve some problems. Mr. Speaker, when this social protection was rolled, sometimes I remember, Mr. Speaker, it came as maybe they were giving a trial. And that's why, Mr. Speaker, the startup of 2000, which we know right now it cannot really help, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, people may not know some places in this country. If you look at maybe the way these people are getting money, Mr. Speaker, there is nothing they are getting for sure. And I think we needed a law which can ensure that these people will get what they are supposed to get. If you look at Mr. Speaker, sometimes back, whoever is responsible for these elderly, they want maybe to verify that these people are still alive. But a way of verifying the people is really a challenge, Mr. Speaker. And I think if there is a body and people who are responsible, they will have a way of verifying that these people are alive. Mr. Speaker, in some other places, for example, in Samburu East, which I represent, so many people were left out of this program because they are not able to move to where people are being verified. And I think we needed this bill so that we can at least identify and know how these people can be verified that they are alive. And Mr. Speaker, we are not equal in this country. 2,000, which maybe can help somebody in other places, but there are places in this country, Mr. Speaker, which are very fast. And the 2,000 cannot help even the people they are supposed to help. And I think the intention was good, Mr. Speaker. But the implementation of these social protection resources are not really taken care of well. And I think this bill will help us to solve some problems the elderly and the disabled people are facing in the country. And I think, Mr. Speaker, even the disabled, I realize even the disabled, when you are, the people say you are disabled, you are not allowed even to go and get your funds or the money you are supposed to get, even if maybe you are on a wheelchair, because that time they consider you are not disabled. That you needed somebody to go and sign the money on your behalf. And Mr. Speaker, money nowadays, even your own brother, even your closest person, many people are not really genuine when it comes to money. And Mr. Speaker, we have lost so many people in this process because people are coming to get money and the conditions they are, you can get people being carried, even using wheelbarrows. That is a very bad state, Mr. Speaker. And I think this bill will help us so that we can be able to have a body which is responsible of these people. And if really the government wants to help these people, then we need to put these regulations so that the people cannot suffer. Because, Mr. Speaker, 2,000 shillings and like what my brother said, hiring a motorbike in our places, you can hire a motorbike maybe a distance of 70 kilometers and it takes all the money. So somebody will come and just get the money and give to the motorbike, and then again they will run to us that we need the transport to go back home. It defeated the purpose of this money. And I think, Mr. Speaker, this is a very important bill. We need to work because even where people are getting money, for example, the agents, they are sometimes the agents, and these people, they may not even know how to write, and they have used the biodata to identify them. Sometimes, Mr. Speaker, the fingerprints do not work for these people. I've heard some of them are told your blood is very cold, go and take some changa there so that it can, I don't know, but people are being tested, they are going a lot of problems on the ground. And I really don't understand why they have used the finger to identify you, and now the fingerprint do not work. I don't really understand that. But I think, Mr. Speaker, the government should have another way of identifying these people if the fingerprint fails. Because people who have never taken some alcohol, they are told to go and take alcohol so that the fingerprints can work. That is a very bad thing, Mr. Speaker. And I think, Mr. Speaker, there is a lot of corruption even in these funds, that people are being told to give something so that you can get your money. We really need to stop that. And Mr. Speaker, I support this bill. We really needed to pass it so that our people can get what the government intended to give them at the right time and in the correct way. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the chance. I support.
Abdul Haro, followed by Madam Chelule.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. From the onset, I stand to support this bill, the Social Protection Bill 2025. Honorable Speaker, this bill and the program it intends to create is a very important bill which has come at a very timely moment in our country. Honorable Speaker, the principal object of the bill is to reduce poverty and vulnerability. A lot of Kenyans have fallen into poverty as a result of a lot of vulnerabilities, which have been resulted because of the so many things happening around us, including the too many conflicts that are happening around us, the pandemics, recessions, environmental disruptions, and economic crises. Honorable Speaker, as a result of that, a lot of Kenyans have fallen into poverty and a lot of Kenyans have faced a lot of vulnerabilities. And the bill is aimed at improving the well-being of the people by providing assistance, services, and programs that build human capital and cushion people against risks and contingencies throughout their life cycle. Honorable Speaker, this bill aims at expanding the already existing social safety program. For example, currently, the government is spending almost up to 31.3 billion to support elderly, to support persons with disabilities, and to support orphans. What this bill is intending to do is to expand that bracket so that to include and cushion workers affected by disruptions. For example, if you lose your job, the intention of the bill is to cushion you against that. Honorable Speaker, the bill has defined who is a person in need, which includes orphans and vulnerable children, people who are in poverty and elderly members, persons with disabilities, and persons in extreme poverty, and persons affected by shocks. Honorable Speaker, the bill is also defines what benefits that these vulnerable people will get. For example, it's very innovative in the sense that it's not just targeting providing assistance, which includes cash programs and cash programs and transfers in kind. It includes assistance in terms of services, which include rehabilitation, psychosocial support, respite care for services, feeding programs, home-based care, and promoting skills and knowledge for some of those vulnerable people. Honorable Speaker, if we recall, the last regime had intended to come up with what was called an employment insurance fund, which was supposed to be contributory. The employer pays part of it, and the employee, the workers pay the other part of it. But because of the tax burden that Kenyans are facing, this regime has come up with this innovative idea where it is going to give direct support from the national government. And Honorable Speaker, it will also be very important for Kenyans to know that many countries have a similar system. Like, for example, in Australia, they have an contributory social welfare system like the one we are introducing here. But in South Africa, we have a contributory system where the employer pays part and the workers pay part of it. With those few remarks, Honorable Speaker, I fully support this initiative and I thank you for the opportunity.
Madam Cherule.
Asante sana Bwana Spika kunipatia hii nafasi pia kuchangia kwa mswada ambaye imeletwa katika bunge la taifa. Hii Mr. Speaker ni mswada moja ambaye imenifurahisha mimi kama kiongozi katika National Assembly. Ni mswada ambaye itafurahisha wale watu ambaye wametuchagua. Ni kwa nini hii mswada imeletwa kwenye bunge? Ni kwa sababu serikali inataka kuweka mkakati ya vile wanaweza kusaidia wale watu wako na shida katika nchi yetu ya Kenya. Na wale watu watafaidika katika hii mswada ni wale watu wamewekwa imewekwa katika kikundi fulani, kikundi ambaye wasiojiweza katika jamii, kikundi ambaye ni senior citizens katika nchi yetu ya Kenya, kikundi ambaye wanaitwa widows and widowers, wale watoto ambaye wamefiwa na wazazi wote. Hii ni mswada ambaye italeta raha kwa wale watu hawajiwezi katika jamii yetu. Ninaunga mkono, nimesikia wenzangu, waheshimiwa wenzangu wakiongea. Na nikaonelea kwamba hii ni kitu mswada ambaye imeletwa na serikali ni ya maana sana. Hii ndio itapatia nafasi serikali kupeleka hata mafunzo pale nyumbani. Ijulikane nani ana shida na ni nani watatengeneza mkakati ya kujua ni nani atafaidika na mambo kama hii. Bwana Spika, unakumbuka wakati ya uongozi wa His Excellency the President Moi, during that time, wakati huo yeah, watoto walikuwa wakipata maziwa ya Nyayo.
Rweda, what's your point of order?
Bwana Spika, wakati huo watoto walikuwa wakipata maziwa ya Nyayo.
Honorable Rweda Obo is on a point of order. What's your point of order?
Naona mheshimiwa hapo amekivuruga Kiswahili. Anasema namna hii. Namna how.
Proceed, Madam Cherule. You have a nice tip.
Asante Bwana Spika. Unajua tuko kwenye bunge, tumechaguliwa sisi tufike hapa. Hakuna kiongozi ambaye anafaa kupeleka mwingine kwa shule. Hii ni Kiswahili yetu ya kule nyumbani. Na hawezi kufananisha na Kiswahili yao ya Lamu ama ya Mombasa. Lakini yale yote ambaye nimesema imeeleweka na watu wangu. Pengine watu wake hawawezi kuelewa Kiswahili yangu. Lakini Bwana Spika, nimechagua kuongea kwa Kiswahili. Ni kwa sababu ninataka wale watu ambaye walinichagua nikuje bunge hii waelewe. Na watu yangu wanaelewa. So ile ya Mheshimiwa Rweda atapeleka masomo kule kwao. Pole, amenipotezea wakati Bwana Spika. So hii ni mswada ambaye itatengeneza mkakati ya vile wale wanahitajika kusaidiwa wasaidike. Na tena watapata habari kwamba mpango serikali imetengeneza. Kwa hivyo wanaponisikia saa hizi wanajua kama ni wanawake ambaye ni widows ama kama ni wanawake ambaye ni widows na widowers pia kwa wanaume wanaelewa kwamba watapata usaidizi kutoka kwa serikali yetu. Kitu ya maana Bwana Spika ni mkakati ambaye serikali inatengenezea wananchi wake. Na sisi ni tofauti katika nchi yetu ya Kenya. Hao watu ambaye tunaongea juu yao ni wale watu wazee hawana hata usaidizi wa wowote, hata nyumba. Na unajua Bwana Spika, hii mambo ambayo tunaongelelea katika bunge hili ni mambo ambaye imewekwa kwa katiba yetu ya Kenya. Kwa hivyo mswada ambaye imeletwa hapa ni vile itatoa mkakati mzuri ambaye itafaidi wananchi wa Kenya. Kwa hiyo Spika, mimi nikiwa mwakilishi ya Nakuru, awamesikia, ninaunga mkono mara 100. Asante.
Mheshimiwa Karoli Omondi akifuatwa na Mheshimiwa Badibadi na Rweda Opo katika hiyo orodha hata tuki.
Thank you very much.
Alafu kisha na Sabina Chege.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I'll try and be brief. Let me begin by acknowledging the good effort at providing social protection to the vulnerable members of our society. I'm aware that this is part of the conditionalities between us and the Bretton Woods organizations. So the bill is...
Mheshimiwa anajua ni Bedzimba sio badibadi. Basi haya, shaelewa.
Yes, but as much as that is the case, I'm foreseeing some few challenges that I think we need to point out in good time so that we don't run into headwinds. What we are trying to establish here is a non-contributory social protection program, meaning the cost will be borne by the National Treasury, the whole lot of it. And Honorable Speaker, the baseline indicator of poverty is normally what we call the food poverty line. Food poverty line, in other words, they'll tell you what a human body needs in terms of nutritional requirements or food energy requirements, the amount of calories you should consume in a day. And this is then transformed into food expenditure, and a poverty line is drawn. If you look at the last Kenya National Bureau of Statistics review, our food poverty line, when applied, ranged between 16.5, which was the highest, the lowest incidence of poverty within Nairobi, to about 82.7%, which was the highest in Turkana. That notwithstanding, there are other variances in between there. But Honorable Speaker, if you look at Section 28, subsection 3, where we are listing those who are vulnerable, orphans, persons with disabilities, persons affected by shocks, etc. One would clearly see that these categories are actually not a measure of poverty or a measure of need. I think we need to relook at this bill and figure out what tool are we going to use to create a clear baseline of who the poor person is. These ones can be categories for either giving priority consideration or for giving fast intervention. But they cannot be the measure of poverty. Just going by what I've said, the baseline poverty line. As a matter of fact, the risk I foresee is, if you look at Section 28, we are saying the objective is to provide social protection to all persons in need. In other words, what will happen, somebody somewhere will go to court and say, I'm not being catered for, and probably will get a court order and halt the entire process. So we really need to be very careful what we put in this bill so that we identify who the true needy persons are. Secondly, Honorable Speaker, we have not been provided in the memorandum of this bill by the leader of majority. What is the projected cost of running such a program? We really need to know as a House. And I'm sure the Parliamentary Budget Office as well as the Treasury must have done some math as to what this particular project will cost. As a Parliament, I think we need to see that. Thirdly, Honorable Speaker, there are other forms of social protection. Here we have only listed two: cash transfer and transfers in kind. Yeah, but there are many other forms of social protection. We have subsidized foodstuffs. If you go to India, the poor people have special shops where they go and get their food. There could be waiver of certain government fees when poor people want services. There is free medical care in some jurisdictions. We are struggling with our shisha here. There's a component of community health workers, which we are. Thank you, Mr. Yeah.
Honorable members, Honorable Karoli Omondi, you will have an additional 7 minutes when the debate resumes, honorable members, and then you will be followed by the Honorable Bedzimba, Honorable Obo, and Honorable Chege in that order, once we resume debate on the same matter. In the meantime, the time being 1:02 p.m., this House stands adjourned until today, Wednesday, the 23rd of April, 2025, at 2:30 p.m.
Tusikubali kutenganishwa na siasa, tujirushe kwa mashimo, miaka 5, miaka 10, tuishi tukiregret kama watu wa Mount Kenya.
I listened to one of us